How is you? I feel like I didn't go live for so long. What's up, everybody? Who's here? How you doing? How you feeling about this new world? I actually opened the Discord as well as somebody wants to speak, and I see somebody's already wants to speak. So, they put their hand down. Okay. How you doing? So, what have we been seeing? Did you guys watch the talk that Emmanuel Macron had with Trump? Because that was a moment where I didn't think anything nice, but it was amusing. You know, like Trump going there with Macron and then Macron saying, yes, we're willing to put European soldiers on the ground if it's needed because we understand. And I'm like, interesting. So to this point, you finally realized that it might be your interest to help the Ukrainians instead of letting them die en masse just because you're a-holes. You know what I love? It's like, yes, go Ukrainians, go fight them. We're gonna give you the most crappy equipment we have, and we're gonna embezzle your country, and we're gonna support this Zelensky guy who might be a good dude, but clearly a stupid idiot. Because, he's a woke, whatever, I think so. But I was like this, I don't know, European soldiers, they're probably just talking. I don't believe any shit they're saying, obviously. I don't believe him. But, you know, it's like this, he acknowledged that Ukrainians are dying en masse and that it's not cool. If it's the interest of Europe for Ukrainians to fight, then it's not cool that they are the only ones who are actually sacrificing themselves. So that's a step forward, and it's especially interesting for us because we are holding the whole Middle East, and we get absolutely. You see, Ukraine at least got the support and the moral pep talk. We get shit. We get the worst kind of treatment, and we hold the whole Middle East. And it's like, you know, it's the end of it. That's it. We're not doing it anymore. You know, and I really believe this is time where, you know, guess what? It's in your interest, stupid Europeans and Americans and the rest of you, that the Middle East would not get its wish. It's your interest, okay? So it doesn't make sense that you not allow us to do anything ever. So, you know, so we start slowly with Ukraine, where for some reason I don't know, they are hypocrites. First of all, I don't see how what Russia is doing is different than anything Turkey is doing, but for some reason Turkey is a-okay. They are in NATO. They are cooperating with them, but they don't care that they slaughter Kurds. They don't care that they are meddling in Syria. They don't care about the Islamist regimes they are supporting. They don't care about anything that they're doing. And they don't cry about, oh, Turkey, they're influencing our institutions, when they clearly do in a much worse way than even Russia does. And yet they don't. So they are just, I don't believe anything they say. I don't believe them. I don't believe they care. They don't care about the countries. Are you saying to me like they think Russia is a threat while they allow ISIS members on little boats to come to Europe? Are you saying they care? They don't give it. They don't care. They don't care. What's the difference between, why do they all support Ukraine and don't care about getting invaded from any other kind of threat? Why? Okay, Putin lives in the 1800s and he needs to retire. You see, here's the thing. Sometimes your enemy is not entirely on the wrong. For example, I can give you an example. One thing that I can say that Israelis don't do properly, and Arabs do, and did like, you know, that Arabs go around the world and say, hey, we want to eliminate the Jews. And they're, you know, it's clear. Their end goal is clear. They don't need our agreement. They don't say, hey, yes, I'm sure if we're going to talk to the Israelis, then they will gladly just immigrate away from the land of Israel and let us be, and just understand that this is our Islamic Caliphate territory, and they can just peacefully immigrate out or sell their homes that they've built, or, you know, something like we can come to an agreement. No. They don't need our agreement, right? They had found a solution that is uncompromising, and they don't need anything from us. They don't like go around selling to other people that like we have to abandon our Judaism and this is how. No, they understand that we're not going to abandon our Judaism. So it's probably easier just to, you know, get rid of us, because like they need to get rid of the Jews. It's just something that they have to do. It doesn't matter how they do it. So, you know, and they realize that the Jews are not so easily like, it's not so easy to sell them a stupid ass ideology like Islam. I mean, some do, but like in general, like they tend to be pretty resistant. So they don't need our consent. Like they understand that. So and you guys are idiots, because you should live in 1800s just a little bit more, because nothing changed from the 1800s. The only thing that changed is that you have America to support you with the ensuring global trade. But guess what? America is going bankrupt because they're taking care of your shit instead of you taking care of your shit. And because of that, you're very close to going back to the 1800s. So I wouldn't say that you are right here. I would say that you should go and revisit the 1800s and learn some history and understand the risk that you are facing and act accordingly, because guess what? You think you moved on from the 1800s, but you did it not independently. You did it thanks to Mama America. And why did the US manage to do this favor? Because America had this amazing constitution, and by the 1900s, like, you know, by the 20th century and then 21st century, America was already established itself, secured its the country it is, and it has the most amazing constitution that it's based on, that is fundamentally amazing. I have nothing but praise. So they for 50, 60, 70 years now had been breastfeeding you so that you wouldn't live in the 1800s. But, you know, you did not evolve to the 21st century Europe. You never did. You are stuck in the in the 20th century, in the middle of it, with the machinery and automobiles and you know, like stuff that are like, it's 1800 science, but you know, but 20th century technology kind of mindset. So now America is going bankrupt, babysitting the world, so it cannot do it anymore. So you need to understand that, like you are stuck in the 20th century. There are plenty of places that, let's say that telling that they even achieved the accomplishment of reaching the 19th century would be an extreme exaggeration. Okay, so I think you should revisit that thinking, because you think the Gazans live in the 21st century because they know how to tweet on Twitter. But they live, they are the Amalek, the same tribe, nothing changed, like literally. So they don't live, they live like if they were to be living naturally, they'd be nomadic tribes that would just go ahead and slaughter everything on their way. Okay? They are not. I don't even know if they are sophisticated enough to be called Bronze Age sophisticated when it comes to Gazans. Okay, so somebody came and gave them that technology. I mean, they do great when it comes to explosives, not gonna lie. Well, like very creative, but That's like, at best, that's Middle Ages technology. So you see, they don't live anywhere if they were not being handed those, if they weren't being, like, if it wasn't for the West and idiots around the world purchasing iPhones for them and shipping the iPhones straight into their hands and then going around house to house and just giving them iPhones, like all managed externally, then they would be, to be honest with you, it would be a compliment to even think they live in the Bronze Age. So, Jasper, I see your, I see your, Japester, I see your comment. I think it's funny, huh? My pronunciation of English. Anyway, Putin lives in the 1800s because, you guess what? He has his neighbors, right, on the west. Let's say Belarusia and Ukraine and Lithuania. They live in the maybe 20th century. Let's be generous. They are not 21st, but let's say 20th. Awesome. But guess what? It's the huge country. Now, imagine a situation where you are in the United States. Now, imagine Canada was not Canada, but was Mexico. And when I say Mexico, I mean drug cartels. Now, imagine all of the Canadian border was filled with drug cartels of the worst kind, the most brutal people. Now make that border twice longer and half the population that you have. Now, what kind of century do you live in now? Sweetheart. Now imagine, like, on top of that, not only that, okay, because, whatever, nurse, not only that, it's also that those cartels are in the mountains. It's completely mountainous, So remember Afghanistan and what a hellhole that was for American soldiers? Well, imagine all of your southern border be just like that. Now tell me, what century do you think the people who live in those conditions live in? So Putin lives in the century that where they are at. It's genuine, and they're still like industrializing, like they had, they are behind. Yes, Russia is behind, but they have a much more complicated situation than the US has, and it's fucking colder. It's depressing. So you only have like 2 months of the year where people actually, their body temperature is warm enough so that any energy would reach their brains. So that's another, like, a really important point. So yeah, somebody saying Belarus is 19th century. By the way, I was in Belarus. There aren't a lot of tourists that go to Belarus. The only planes that landed from Belarus landed from Ukraine and from Israel. It was just 2 planes that landed at the time when I landed, and guess what? I landed I came with the plane that came from Ukraine. So yeah, I was in Belarus, and we actually went to the countryside as well. And when we went to the countryside, there was this and they don't have they don't have toilets there. They don't have running water. They had like a well in the countryside in Belarus. And that is 19th century, 100%. And it was funny because there was a man that came out and he heard us and he was like, you're Jews, right? And we were like, yes. And he was like, Oh my God, he was so excited. It was like, can you bless me? Like, I have a figurine of a small Jewish person. Like, he brought it with him, I think, like a small Jewish person. It's like, this brings luck. This brings luck. It means like, if you have this at home, like, it means that you're not gonna suffer from financial problems and stuff like that. So he was like, he was so excited. He was like, oh my God, you're Jews. Like that's amazing. Like you bring good luck, right? It's so funny. Anyway. So, how about when you start understanding that your the stupid ideals, like the stupid mindset where we think, oh, if we are nice, empathetic people and we live in the 20th century and we believe in human rights, that means that everybody in the world believe in the same thing that you do. You know, when you're 3 years old as a child that is 3 years old, they have this understanding of the world, which is normal because there are three. When they watch TV, they don't understand, and they see the TV screen and somebody is behind them. They don't understand that they cannot see the TV because they're blocking the TV. Like they think, okay, I see it, that means you see it as well, right? So, how about that the the so-called West that is so progressive and so smart would like maybe it would have been more impressive if the mindset that you have would actually exceed once of the mindset of a 3-year-old that think that okay, if I can see the TV, that means everybody can see the TV, even if I'm in front of them and I'm blocking their eyesight, you know. So, how about we understand that just because you traded technology to certain places, that is not the same as having the infrastructure to create the necessary all the necessary steps to actually get to that. They're saying, let's see. If 3-year-olds aren't that unsophisticated, we shouldn't compare them to European leaders. You're correct. You are very much correct. So let me go through. Welcome to the club, Jackson Wade. Nathan, thank you so much for your support, Nathan Bennett. By the way, you guys, I really do appreciate your support. I know I didn't go live for some time, so, you know, to encourage future live events and more videos, if you want to go support me and buy me coffee or something like that, like it would give me motivation, I'm not gonna lie. And there is a lot of things that are going on, so part of the reason that I am a little bit off screen is because I'm trying to gather as much information and build, like I call this stream that a new world order. I'm not joking when I say a new world order. I really mean it, and I wanna. And oh my God, I appreciate Trump. Like he's not stupid. I mean, he might sound somewhat unhinged, but there are basic realities that he understands. And so it's interesting to me. And finally, like people starting speaking up. So I'm gathering all that info to try to, you know, have an updated, finally people start speaking up. And like I said, I mean, this is a very uncertain, but trying to be optimistic. You should be optimistic. And all this year, like ever since I started this channel, I mean, I started ever since October 7th when I started, I repeatedly said, speak up your mind. You know, if there is something I love is when people in the comments give me information that I was not aware of. I love it. And I love it when people debate me as well. I don't like when people debate me and they think they debate me, but they don't give any valuable, like there is no data there. then I don't appreciate it, because I like information. I'm just that kind of person. I'm not a very emotion-based, I'm much more data-based person. So this is something that people that know me know, that if you want to talk to me, then they need to give me interesting information, because I'm that kind of weird person. They're like, okay, where's the data? But yeah, but I love it. So if that's something that I repeatedly said, like, disagree. I love when people disagree with me and say something smart. Love it. I actually learn a lot from reading the comments. And the other thing is that that I repeat, yeah, so I keep forgetting. I repeatedly say, speak up. You can be wrong. I'm wrong. Everybody's wrong. Trump was wrong a million times, right? He said, like, I think I can do something. And then he tries, he understands there is no way forward, and he moves on. And then people say he's unpredictable. He's not unpredictable. His software has updates, which is unfathomable in the political landscape that we've had for years now, where people just do not change their understanding of reality. No matter how much they bang their heads into a wall, they're like, no, I stick to my agenda. The fuck I care about reality. No, he is unpredictable, because it's like, you know what, I thought something, and then reality says that something different is right. So we have to do what is possible, So there is a lot to be optimistic about, because if you want to bring down tyranny cannot, this is something I think Aristotle already said, right? It's not even new. You know what's the must-have condition to building a tyranny? People that are not speaking up. People that are afraid to be wrong. People who are afraid to say something that is not mainstream. When people would say everything that's on their mind, and when I say everything, I mean, like, even if you see a small thing, somebody says something slightly annoying, you slightly disagree with it, say you disagree with it. Say it. Say it. And when we have that kind of culture, we'll defeat tyranny, not now, but forever. Because if no matter what, if we teach our children, hey, I'd rather you be wrong, I'd rather you'd say something stupid and miscalculated and extremely stupid, but say it. Because you're probably not the only stupid person. And you know what's worse? If you, with your stupid ideas, would find the other person that has the same stupid idea as you, and you guys would just like say it like between yourself, and like create this stupid echo chamber of stupid idea people. Instead of like, I want you to say your stupid ideas. I say my stupid ideas out loud. And I want to say, I was like, this is a better, and that is more important. And I say, like, how many times were you wrong today? If you were wrong 0 times because you thought something, but you never learned that you were wrong, then that is bad education. So I think there is a reason to be optimistic. And thank you for your support. Jackson Wade, things are looking up for Israel. God bless. Amen. Amen, amen, amen. Japister, I'm watching to hear Rebecca pronounce English words funny. Thank you. Welcome, Stanislav. Welcome. Thank you for your support, Ami. Thank you. And America, Russia, Israel. So another insane thing that a lot of Israeli comment about is that Israel actually voted with the United States against the UN whatever that says that it invaded Ukraine or something. Let me just find it real quick, which confused a lot of people. It's an interesting decision to make, but to be honest, I don't like. Kind of wonder, should I talk about my opinion here, about the opinions of other Israelis, because I've made a video talking about Russia, Ukraine already. And I love it that a lot of people unfollowed me because I made this video on Russia and Ukraine. And then people, I cannot believe that you don't support Ukraine. Like, I didn't even state my opinion at all in the video. I just said things as they are, like from different, and I even wrote the Russian perspective. The only time I voiced my opinion is when I said like Zelensky is an idiot because he's basically a Holocaust denier, but I'm writing a short book essay about when I reported the local pro-Palestine protest to the police, and I plan to include you in my story, lol, if you approve. Am I like a character? I mean, sure. Zelensky is an actor. Zelensky is just a web puppet. He's a puppet. Like, when he came and asked for help from Israel. Now, and Israel provided a shit ton of humanitarian aid. Israeli soldiers went to Ukraine to help them train their army. And Israel even provided equipment for defensive equipment and like protective gear and things like that. And here's the thing, not only that, he would not pay for it because it was like, this is something we owe him. He never said thanks for anything, and he kept complaining that Israel would not give him offensive weapons. And I'm thinking, we are in a much more difficult position. You have the whole world supporting you and throwing weapons at you, and a lot like 100 times more 100 times more billions of dollars that is being thrown at you, and we are fighting literal animals and the whole world. And everything that we get, we purchase, except for the agreements that we have with the US and some aid package. But in general, everything is being purchased. When Israel went and was attacked, it just asked, "Hey, give us the equipment and the bombs we purchased with money." It's like I saw this interview was asking Trump why he gave Israel D9s and bombs, 2-ton bombs, and it was like, because they paid. You see, we pay and we don't get the equipment. So I just thought, imagine that we were a couple of years later attacked the way we were attacked from 7 fronts in a tiny country, and we would have given away our offensive equipment when the whole world immediately on October 8th decided to embargo any weapon shipments to Israel. And especially something like offensive weapons. We were supposed to give you the weapons when we are in the middle of the Middle East. And not only that, it wouldn't pay for. They thought we are supposed to give it to him without paying. And he went around complaining on how dare Israel not give him weapons. And every resolution and every decision the UN had made against Israel, they abstained when they were feeling generous, but most of the time they were voting against Israel. So it was Russia okay? No. They were working with our enemies. They were destabilizing the Middle East. They have way more influence in this area. Were they pretending to be our friends? Were they coming to Israel demanding that we would give them weapons? Because we cooperate on certain things in Syria? Did they do it? So, at least we know those are our enemies. It's like how does this saying go? God protect me from my friends, and from my foes I'll protect myself. Ukraine did not get 350. I don't talk about the USA right now. I talk about Israel. I am not American. If Americans want to sell away their country so that they can send weapons to different shitholes around the world that are not Israel because they're whatever, like send it for free and not for those who actually pay for it, then do it. Fine, but I'm sorry, like it's what I'm saying is like this man is a fucking shit person, asshole. His rhetoric on after October 7th was a rhetoric of a piece of shit, and Israel gave them a lot, and there was some cooperation on drones with Ukraine, but guess what? There are rumors that Russia actually gave some, from time to time, under the table, there were exchanges with Russia that were way more interesting than this drone cooperation we had with Ukraine. And those are like, so tell me. And it's true for the whole of Europe. It's so comfortable. Like what they did to Ukraine. And when I heard Macron on the stage admit that it's not okay to let millions of Ukrainians die for the interest of the rest of Europe. Maybe there is something immoral about it. I was like, wow. That was under the pressure of the biggest power in the world. Well, how if what you are doing with Ukraine is not okay, what you are doing to Israel is million times worse, and that's after you eradicated our ancestors. That's after the atrocities you committed again and again and against the Jewish people. That is after you were the ones that gave Iraq the nuclear weapons, after you had developed them with the Israel, because you were had this amazing idea that, wait, Israel, that's Jews, right? Weren't Jews the ones who thought of how to develop nukes? We want nukes. Okay, we should cooperate with the Jews. And the moment that the experiment was finished, you went ahead and sold it to our greatest enemies. You pieces of shit, France. Well, I am sorry. I apologize for misinterpreting. Jackson Wade. Is now a good time to visit Israel? I want to. Yeah, I think so. It's a bit cold right now, though. Macron destroyed Syria. Macron destroyed support Hezbollah. Macron is a piece of shit. And you see, when I look at Macron, now explain to me, how is Europe different than Russia? Europe they're criminal. They sell globalist ideology, globalist gang. They're all criminals. The Germans that invented the woke ideology publicly with Yasser Arafat in the 60s. You know, the bodies that the Germans had accumulated were still warm when they started plotting how to screw the Jews the next time, together with Yasser Arafat. So tell me, isn't this whole cooperation with Europe actually cooperating with people that are just a little bit better than the Arabs? Just a little bit, because I talk to Europeans so many times. How many times did I hear, oh, well, maybe you kind of deserved what happened. Look like what happens to the Palestinians. This whole subversion of reality to make Germany look good happened in Germany, while the bodies of those people that were killed by the Nazi machine were still warm. Not only that, the Ukrainians, the sweethearts, look what they did to the Polish. You know what? Give West Ukraine back to Poland. They're just peasants. They're not supposed to have a country. They, and immediately after the war, they went straight to killing Jews in a mass. And then with this bullshit rhetoric about how Israel should conduct itself. Why do you think Israel owed anything to Ukraine and those pieces of shit? Am I supposed to feel mercy for them? Am I supposed to think like, I don't want to be a hypocrite? What makes you think that those people are better than Russia just because they do everything that they can to make sure that other people would do the dirty job instead of them? Philip Daniel. Leftists don't get the psychology of abuse victims and captives. They think Omer Shem Tov's kiss on the stage was a voluntary expression of love. Yeah. And you see, I'll tell you what the difference between the way France conducts itself and Russia. The Russians are not hypocrites. That's the only difference. Israel sent you. I don't think they actually did. Actually, to be honest, I'm not sure they did. It was like a suggestion by Shiran Askel, and then the Ukrainians, like before, when she was in the opposition, it was something that she had offered to do. And then when she was part of the coalition, like she scraped that suggestion. And when after meeting the Ukrainians had announced that this is something that Israel had agreed on, when Israel never said anything like that. So I'm not sure if they did it or not. I know like the Patriot missiles, like the systems, they gave back to the US and the US passed it on to Ukraine. So I don't know if they had done that. Maybe. But do I think the Ukrainians deserve it? So when Israel was shocked about it is not okay because Russia was not conducting itself properly, and then like why are we voting against Ukraine? You know what? I thought it's good. You know? First of all, Turkey does it, and yet nobody in Europe bothers to say anything. Turkey occupies Cyprus. Nobody talks about it. Cyprus is occupied by Turkey. Does anyone talk about it? Nobody. Where are the resolutions? Where's the shock? Why is Cyprus okay and Crimea not? You know what? Because Russia is an easier target. Those people are cowards. They are more afraid of Turkey than they are of Russia. I'm drinking water. They're cowards. Cowards. So they bully Russia. Yeah. Russia can't really do that much. You see? Like, just fortify the countries, like, yeah, have a stronger presence, and that's it. You can deal with Russia. It's not a real problem. And then you want to bring Turkey through Ukraine to Russia? You know what? If I were Russia, you know what Turkey is for Russia? You know what? They are the Tatars. They are the Mongols. They massacred Russians en masse. They are the reason Russia had to become this empire. Those lands that Russia is on those are not lands that any person would want to live in. Really, I think like they pray day and night for global warming, just to live in a place that is somewhat, like, livable. Like, you need to understand that living there, that's unless you're born there, it's like it's depressive. And then you want to bring Turkey that they massacre the Kurds. Turkey that can join in with the Tatars and the I don't know how many. You know, Russia hides the fact that I don't know how many the Chechens actually killed, and the people in Dagestan, how many of them actually killed. And it happened 20 years ago. They hide it. They probably don't want to know. Like, they don't want the public to know how many really died because of those terrorists that live in the mountains. And yet you want to bring Turkey to Russia through Ukraine. Russia, you know why? When Tucker Carlson, which is a complete idiot, but you know, from time to time he has like a bit of genuinity, like when he said that when he called out what piece of shit Piers Morgan is. He's an idiot. He's just not a very smart person. Like, I think if you check his IQ, he's probably an idiot. Oh shit. 1 second. Where was I? Which idiot what I was talking about? Russia got arrested for Mongols. What are you talking about? Come on. Russia was Russia before the Mongols, but they weren't the whole of Russia. When even Grozny, even the something great, he had to, like, he unified all the tribes there. Listen, those are lands that nobody want to live in. But but the Russians were massacred en masse, okay? And the Cossacks, which are the Ukrainians, they massacred en masse as well. Those Turks cooperating with the Tatars, which only 20 years ago massacred a shit ton of Russians, which they hide because they're built stupidly. I'll be honest. They were willing to there is a reason they were so brutal. They need this space, like, this Crimea and stuff, and the access to the Black Sea, and to make sure that, maybe their thinking, their mindset, and the way that they think about army is a bit outdated, is very outdated, and maybe they should update it, may think of a better ways to secure their borders. But the reality is that they're not gonna attack in any, like, when they're gonna get attacked by the Muslims, potentially, it's not gonna be anything that's, it's gonna be a very different kind of army fighting. So yeah, the Russians probably were willing, because of that, mindset that they have, to get rid of all of Ukraine, if that's what it takes to make sure that they can have the security on their borders. And it's not, you think that's crazy. It's not crazy. And they cannot, and so Tucker Carlson sitting down asking Putin, and Putin giving this long lecture, blah blah blah. Because you're supposed to understand from the context, nothing fucking changed. The Mongols are there, the Tatars are there, the Chechens, the Dagestanis, they're all still there. And guess what? Turkey is still there, and they're going to work in Islamic direction. You know that there are calls inside of Russia, by those people, to make Russia an Islamic caliphate. What changed? It's like, what I feel? It's like when people say, like, they cannot comprehend the mindset of Hamas. They cannot comprehend the mindset of the Arabs. And they tell us, like, why don't you try this? Why don't you try this? Why do you have to, like... Because these people are crazy. These people are batshit insane. Piers Morgan allegedly told Carlson off air that he wants to destroy Israel. It's rumors from AP, though. The annoying prick. I think he said something that the Tucker Carlson said that that Piers told him that he can't stand Israel, which makes sense because that's how he acts. And like, and so Putin sits there. It's not like I listen to those lectures too much, right? You cannot say, like, this is what you did to Russia. Like, you cannot say, like, can't you see Turkey is gonna go crazy and they're gonna butcher us soon? It's problematic. It's just like Israel. Like, we can see what Egypt is doing, but the moment if Netanyahu calls out Egypt, then we're gonna go to war with Egypt. There would be no other way, no matter how much the leaders of Egypt don't want to go to war. If Netanyahu, even, like, if the Israeli government, like, even shows that it notices that Egypt is brewing a war, which is ironic because they're brewing the war because their population is incredibly stupid. So this is what they need to do to make their population be in control, but in the same time, like, they don't want it. I believe it that the government doesn't, like, the leaders don't want it. But if the Israeli government would call them out, that's it. You're screwed. So if you call Turkey out as a Russian person, right, representative as Putin, that's it. You're screwed. You're in war with Turkey, and that's awful. But But you know, there are things that would happen. Like long term, it will happen unless something drastically changes. And there is no indication right now that the Islamic world is becoming more sane. No, but there are plenty of indications that they are becoming more and more insane. So if that's the trajectory, that's the way you need to think. All right, let me see what you guys are saying in the comments. So yeah, you know, like, yeah, Russia, you can say whatever, like, the Europeans are so smart when they're against Russia, everybody voting. I'm like, but where's Turkey then? Why aren't you that incredibly, like, so smart? Oh, let's make the Israelis fight until like to eternity with the Arabs. Let's make the Ukrainians fight with their, like, whatever. Even China abstained because Russia, China, Iran, those were not real alliances. Those were desperation alliances. So Mark, Muslims are not insane. They're doing exactly what their satanic religion wants them to do. Exactly. Do you think, okay, now imagine. So we have the situation in Israel, which is difficult. Now, Russia is vast. It's vast. You know, they have to constantly project insanity. Like, I tell you something, like, Russia needs to project insanity. The moment they stop projecting insanity, they get massacred. Now, you can say, like, they need to industrialize better. They need to be they need to be a lot of things. They need to be a lot more efficient. They need to be a lot more technologically advanced. Yes, they do. But they also have to manage a vast country. That is so hard. Those are insane infrastructures, and they cannot have everybody live in one city and one hub, because then they have no protection on their borders, right? If you don't have people, if there are no people, why is there settlers, the settlements? If you don't have a civilian population, then you don't have protection on a border. So they need to have the civilian population protecting the whole border. So you have the Islamic insanity all the way. I mean, they have also the Mongols and the Chinese on their border. A little bit nicer, not much by now. I mean, so I believe, yeah, so like Russia lacks people in Russia to become better. Yeah, 100%. And it's hard, you know, it's like, if you look at it, like, Russia is pretty much uninhabitable. And I don't even talk, like, I talk about St. Petersburg, okay? I talk about Moscow. Unless you are born there, you know, it's insanity. Minus 40 degrees in the winter. That's not life. That's hard. That's really hard. And I was like, if you get rid of all of the Russians, good luck with getting anyone to go live there. Like, it's like, there is like, it's a reason it's like multi-ethnical, tribal, like tribe-based, it's that people who build cities. It's kind of like a miracle that it is as advanced as it is, in a way. And then that you can extract goods out of the ground in Russia, even. There are a lot of agreements that you can make with Russia. They don't have enough people to get everything out of their ground. I met people, like, there are places in Russia that are so depressing they pay this, they subsidize that people that should just live there. And even with getting subsidies and like the salaries being way much higher, just living in those kind of places, just like people, the government pays people to live in those areas. It's like you do it for a year or 2 or 10, and after, like, you cannot. It is depressing. It is darkness. It is freezing. It is harsh. No, you cannot live in St. Petersburg. It's a very optimistic, sir. I went to St. Petersburg in August. I had to wear a coat in August, in the beginning of August, like midsummer. It was cold. Philip Daniel, I tend to see Russia and Israel are alike in at least one way, in the sense that both bridge the gap between Occident and Orient. Maybe. I mean, a little bit, because Russia is a civilization. I didn't remember you were Swedish. I mean, I get it that you have a bit of a something with Russia. Yeah, oh, I mean the cold, right? So, okay, so Sweden and those Scandinavian countries. I'm sorry, that was backwater. Who's gonna live there until you found that you have oil, and then suddenly it's like livable. So, just got lucky, and now you're ruining your countries again, bringing like the worst population on earth. I wonder how much, like, what's the difference between the weather in Sweden versus Russia? Because I think there's like a current that saves Europe from like the worst of it, and that Russia has a worse climate. So I don't know. Oh, so you guys have the same climate as Petersburg. Yeah, but Petersburg has, like, you're right, like, it's depressing, it's cold there. But it's true, it's like the winters there are not as harsh, right? How harsh is the winter in Petersburg? Like, where my dad went to school and my mom used to live, like, in Nizhny Novgorod, it was like, it would get to minus 40 in the winter. My dad said, like, my mom lived there, but like, okay, Sweden minus 37. Okay, so the same. I don't know how you guys do it. Well, there is a country like Norway, Sweden, Finland, and it is insanely contrasting, even just over the border with Russia. It's not the weather. Russia, like, I'm sorry, Sweden, Norway, Finland, all those countries, they were the same as Russia. They were a backwater fishermen populations until they found oil, and now they brought all the Islamists. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should look at the weather. And like in the Sami people, right? It's the same population, right? You have the Sami people in the north of Norway, and you have the Sami people in the north of Russia. It's even the same people. I mean, Russia is impressive in a sense that like they still brought a lot of achievements, like mathematically speaking, like chemistry. Like, I don't know how much. The Rus are literally Swedes. Russia was founded by Norse adventurers who conquered and united Slavic and Finnic tribes. That makes sense. Mhm. That's a funny one. Losing patience. When is Rebecca going to reveal the new world order to us? Is she our leader? So here's the new world order. People speaking up. I like it. Like Trump just, it's gonna take time for people to understand like the amount of hypocrisy. Like I understand like Russians were extremely brutal with Ukraine. Damn, I wish they were fighting like their fighting style. Like I wish they had a better management system in Russia, for sure. Um, but damn, like when I think about like what's the alternative? Like if it's not Russia, it's gonna be way worse. Cause who is like crazy enough to live in those areas and have this kind of geography where you're living next to the most crazy nations on earth? It's like, listen, until October 7th, I was like not like my dad, my grandpa, like the Georgian side is like, they were like, the Arabs, they're not as bad as the people in the Caucasus, at least. Until October 7th, I was like, okay, maybe they're the same. It's the same level, maybe. Because like there was a discussion, like we always kept talking, like who are crueler, the Arabs or the people in the Caucasus, like the people in Chechnya and Dagestan and things like that. Like there is this discussion, right? It's like, do they play with the heads as soccer balls? Yes, yes, yes. They do, and they do too. Do they do? Yeah, yes, yes, yes. They do this, and you do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very similar. So I don't know. Are you joining AP and David Wood again? I don't know. I don't know if their followers like me so much. I think I have a different energy than them, if I'm being honest. Like when I went live with them, I just felt, I just bring a very different kind of style of conversation, which might be nice from time to time, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. You just can tell me, what do you think? I would love to go. I like it. Yeah, I'm having fun, but I feel like yeah, if people watch their channel, they expect a certain kind of style, and I feel like when I go live, then most of their audience is like they don't like my style of talking, of like communicate. Like I feel like AP has people when there are certain topics. Yeah. Yeah, I'm more serious. That's the thing. Like when I go there and they make jokes and I'm like, but if you actually like I'm like and I bring the more like serious angle about it, then I don't know. A lot of them are younger. Who is younger? Oh yeah, there are a lot of things going on with the Druze in Syria right now, which is also awesome. By the way, I think I have. If anyone want here, see, let's see. Does anyone want to go up on Discord? Let me share it. Let me share the invite. Let me see if it works. One goes serious when the stakes are high. It goes serious, but like he gets mad about things. I can get mad, but like, you know, even me getting mad, it's a bit of an acting. I don't know. I like information more, like hidden data. Ugh, it's not working. Tell us about what's going on with the Druze in Syria. I would love to. Okay, how do I invite people? I have this bug where I cannot copy the invite link because of some reason on Discord. So I cannot post the link to the Discord right now, but there is a link in the description if you guys want to join and chit-chat with me. See, I show you. This is what I get, like the hidden copy button. All right. Okay, what's going on? Let me check. So there are things that are going on, like the Druze announcing that they would govern themselves and would not be part of the under Julani. And there is a movement towards them joining the Kurdish forces and actually liberating that from the jihadist rule of Julani. Okay, let me see if there is anything happening right now. There are, I think, shame is a lot of, oops. Let me change the camera. Yeah, a lot of, it's very popular right now on Twitter, the hashtag. What a shame that we voted for. That we voted against Ukraine. Like, where is? Can you guys hear me? No. All right. Let's see what I had been saving here. Let's see what we have here.
So you understand, there was a one to aggress.
Can you?
Again, just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total default, and it was through like the
Yeah. So, okay.
US.
Okay. So Ukraine is getting money from the whole world, and then they come here and demand money from us, and then they talk shit about us, and then like, I don't understand that. I don't care if they were invaded; they're pieces of shit. Why do we need to support them?
Loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear.
Yeah.
We have 230 billion frozen assets in Europe, Russian assets, but this is not as a collateral of a loan because this is not our belonging. So they are frozen. If at the end of the day in the negotiation we will have with Russia, they're ready to give it to us, super.
And they're stealing from Russia. That's what I'm hearing.
It will be loan at the end of the day, and Russia will have paid for that.
If you
This is my
believe
wish.
that, it's okay with me.
Mr. President,
If they get their money back, we don't, and now we do. But, you know, that's
We
only
will fight
fair.
positive.
Mr. President, it should be more.
There was a one to aggress.
Okay. Oh, that's funny. Look at those European leaders. Of all of them are pieces of. Look at them. It's like a meeting of evil. It's like they're all Marie Antoinettes. Oh, if they don't have bread, let them eat cake. And the problem they're saying, assholes, bunch of assholes. So report on Washington Post, Trump had canceled the decision that says that, like the decision Biden passed that ensured that weapons that of the United States would not use against the international law, which is great, which means we can use weapons that were given by the Americans, were purchased from the Americans to eliminate those who need to be eliminated. That's unrelated. Oh, I was watching this. So I think, where's the part where Macron almost said something that made sense, but also didn't?
Mr. President, I really wish to thank you for making changes to your schedule to meet with us so quickly.
True.
I think we've made very substantive steps forward during our discussions.
I appreciate the humility. I'm happy Macron understood that he's a little piece of trash, and as a piece of trash, you should have a little bit humility and say thank you when a real human being is willing to talk to him. So that's the nice thing I have to say. Here, let me be in the middle.
And this is a major step in what we're experiencing today. We had a video conference with all of the G7 leaders, which was an opportunity for us to discuss this matter 3 days after the Russian war in Ukraine, and to express our support for President Zelensky to the Ukrainian people, but also to speak and share about our desire for a lasting peace.
You know, a lasting peace is the same as socialism. It works if somebody gives you money and somebody provides you security and you don't have to do anything. But if there is no sponsor, there will be no socialism and there is no peace. So, you know, it makes so much more sense to just be strong and make sure that you project power, and that's a way better strategy for peace long term. Yes.
This is what we have spoken about very forcibly over the past few weeks. We thought that this war was only going to last.
I like that the translator, she sounds a little bit like she's crying. I feel like if you look at his face, it's like genuine. I think that's probably the tone he's really using, like he's crying a little bit when he's speaking, and I think the fact that she's translating it that way is very appropriate.
A few weeks when it broke out in 2022, we admire greatly the courage of the Ukrainian people. And Mr. President, I wish to thank you for this. You mentioned that there are responsibilities on Europe's side, and indeed, we have invested 128 billion in aid to Ukraine and the Ukrainians. Ukraine has been able to hold the front of our collective security. It's fought over these past few years for its independence and for its sovereignty, but also for our collective security, because I think that no one in this room wants to live in a world where it's the law of the strongest and international borders can be violated from one day to the next by anyone. Over the past few hours, and as you mentioned this, Mr. President, we've been able to see a few things take shape. First of all, allow me to commend you on your decision to work with President Zelensky and to conclude this agreement that's so important for the U.S. and Ukraine on rare earths, critical minerals, but also having substantive conversations with President Zelensky during this key phase of achieving this deal, which is a major commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty, and I think that's very commendable. We also have a shared desire to build peace. We will have.
I think the voice she used right now was not cry enough. I think if you look at his face, it clearly looks like he just got like something entered his behinds when he said it. So I think she should have reflected that better. It's not usually I comment on what people say. This time I comment on how it's being translated because just appreciate the work she's been doing, but
have this responsibility. This is 10 years after the war started in Crimea. And
yeah, I think she started sounding like she has something in as well. Good job. That's genuine.
Then we saw the events in the Donbas region and along the northern part of the country. We want to save lives. We want to bring prisoners back and bring back families and children, because there's also humanitarian tragedy affecting the Ukrainian people. We had lengthy discussions with the president, and we spoke about our desire to bring an end to conflicts, to have a truce that is measurable, verifiable, and that enables negotiation of a lasting peace, where we will discuss not only Ukraine's reconstruction, its territories, but also the security guarantees, meaning maintaining peace over the long term. As I said to the president, we've experienced peace accords that were only ceasefires without ensuring security guarantees. Minsk.
Those last pieces of shit, He's like, oh, you should do ceasefire with Gaza. And they shout every day that they're gonna do a million times 7th of October and a million times more. And yes, these little pieces of shit, they go around and say like, oh, we don't get the security, we don't get the guarantee from Russia that they're not gonna attack us when we leave the border open, and we, just chase them around and like do messy shit, and we don't even want to do the minimum of trying to protect our borders. And like, oh, but we don't get a security guarantee. And then, ceasefire, Israel, ceasefire. You should not react to the thousands that were massacred and butchered. No, you shouldn't. Pieces of shit.
1 and 2. And we want to make sure this doesn't happen again. And I know that the president has expressed the desire to be a player for peace.
You know it. Like the more I hear him speak, the more like, no, we want to guarantee that Russia would not attack. It's very far, blah blah blah. Listen, you little piece of shit. They're not even attacking you directly, and you're crying. I say, every time a stupid European leader says something like, oh, Israel, do a ceasefire, you should, let's have the Palestinian Authority that pay for slave, kind of a doctrine, like let's have them guarantee the peace of Israel. Every time he does that, somebody needs to come and push something hard into his somewhere, that it would remind him that there are consequences to stupidity. And I don't think killing 1 million Ukrainians would hurt him. I think us specifically needs to be targeted. It needs to be personal, because it's the only way he understands. Because I'm sure this is what Trump did. Just before this talk, he did some things maybe with the lubrication. If it was nice, I think it was with lubrication, because clearly his face doesn't look like enough of the way he should be suffering. If he got what he would have deserved, then he still has a little bit of sassiness in his speech. So there was probably some lubrication. But no, you shouldn't get zero lubrication. It needs to be personal every time. Yes.
In the region. I've spoken with some 30 European leaders and allies in recent days. We want to bring together these allies, and share the same vision. This peace must not mean a surrender of Ukraine. It must not mean a ceasefire without guarantees. This peace must allow for Ukrainian sovereignty and allow Ukraine to negotiate with other stakeholders regarding the issues it affects. But it is also a country in which we need to shoulder our responsibilities so that we ensure security and stability for Ukraine and for the entire region. And for us Europeans, this is an existential issue. We also spoke about these issues at length with the president. We've worked with President Zelensky and gotten to some of the details of the various phases of the negotiation, and we've also been able to
look at Trump's face. It clearly like thinks, and it says like, I feel like there is still some sass here. Next time, no lubricants. Clearly, like look at his face. Like that's, I feel the same, Mr. President Trump. I feel the same. I see you. I feel there is still some sass in there. No lubrication next time. He doesn't deserve lubrication.
Some of this work with our British partners to talk about deployments of peace forces on Ukrainian soil, which are part of these security guarantees. Other countries are ready to join in this effort.
I wonder if they're going to be as effective as they were in the border with Lebanon and stuff like that. You know, the more I think about it, the more I want. The more I'm like, I'm losing mercy. I'm like, the more I hear it, the less sympathy I have. I'm actually like, now I understand Trump, when I read his tweet. Like if we summarize the tweet, it was basically Zelensky, you're a piece of shit. And I'm thinking like, the more I think about it, like imagine if I were Trump and like looking at the data, I'd be like, I'd want Zelensky fucked. And Europe. I understand the sentiment. Yeah, I agree. It's better for them to snap out of it, Clearly, the lubrication. I'm sure, like in 2 days, he's gonna forget about it because it was way too slick when it went inside. So no lubrication next time. So he's gonna remember for at least 2 weeks or so.
Solidarity and support from the U.S. will be crucial to this, and I thank you, Mr. President, for beginning to work with us on this issue and the agreement that you are preparing to sign with Ukraine and with all of these discussions we've had are very solid guarantees that we are understood and that we have the same wish, peace as soon as possible.
How do I explain Jeremy Crawford? Rebecca loves Quran kissing Putin. I don't love Putin. Putin is, how do I say it? It's just a different sentiment. When somebody markets themselves and, hey, I'm gonna do whatever and I don't give a fuck. And I have no morals, and I'm not gonna pretend I have any morals. That's one thing. But these pieces of shit, go around lecturing. You know, and it's kind of lecturing where, you know, like they think they're something. Like when Putin goes around and lectures, you know, it's like, you know, guys, I'm playing this game, I don't give a fuck. It's okay, we understand, you don't give a fuck. It's a game, okay? And these pieces of shit, they're like, oh, we are good people. You are not good people, you're pieces of shit.
Lasting, solid peace for everyone. And the renewal of an international situation where we are all able to shoulder our responsibilities, Europeans shouldering their responsibilities alongside their American allies who will shoulder their own responsibilities. I also wanted to be very clear, Mr. President, about Europe's commitment. We have committed to building a lasting peace. As Europeans, we have committed to being stakeholders in
lasting peace by supporting Hamas, defending the right of the Islamic ISIS to have a hold on Syria. The more he talks, the more I want the lubrication to not exist. And to be honest, I don't think anybody, Trump, I respect you very much. Can we bring a black guy? A big one. Yeah. And if that doesn't help, like, well, there are always inanimate objects. But I think it's more personal and it's more effective when it's like, when you feel the warmth and the heat of somebody else breathing in your ear. That's all I ask for. So after thinking about it, and I thought about it, this new world order, it's gonna look beautiful. It's gonna look very beautiful. Amen. And it's like 2 a.m., so I'm gonna quit soon. Let me see if there are any comments, because I think we got the gist of it. It was America that convinced Ukraine to surrender. You know why they did it, sweetheart? They didn't do it because they cared about America. They cared about Ukraine being attacked by Russia. They didn't do it because they were afraid that it's too close to the Europeans. They didn't do it because they thought it's going to be used against Russia, right? They thought it might be used against Europe. This is why they forced Ukraine to remove it. If it's Ukraine getting attacked, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. It was not to protect Ukraine. It was never to protect Ukraine. It was just in case you have a government that is pro-Russian, then they don't want them to have nukes. Are you effing idiots? Do you think they did it because they were like, what? The Ukrainians, right? Like, let's to be honest, like, it wasn't theirs. Like, the military complex that the Russians built in Ukraine, was it theirs? The Russians just, like, you know, they lost so much technology because Ukraine broke away. But it wasn't exactly their technology. They promised Russia not to expand NATO to Eastern Europe. Yeah, they promised. And I found so many references of them saying something else. So this is why I said, like, Zelensky is like the European leaders are like idiots, right? Like, go see how much, like the Americans were, you know, they weren't even keen on helping their sweet British allies in World War II. It's not like they were like rushing to it. Don't, like, Like, so what? They wanted to get Ukraine out of their nukes. They didn't give a fuck about Ukraine. That's it. You're right. It's not exactly Russian either. It was shared. That's true. It was shared. And let's be honest, it was probably mostly Jewish anyway. I mean, my grandpa was also part of it. So, I would know. He's working with rockets. All right, everybody. Good night.